So let me introduce the first speaker, Margus Riimaa. He's basically a pianist. He is from Estonia. He's like a well-known singer. He has traveled around and he has been, he has recently won a very renewed international prize. And he generally speaks with notes, but today he will speak with words. And he will say what's the perspective of a pianist and, of a musician, I would say, on cultures and rhythm. Thanks very much.
So, hello everybody. First of all, I would like to begin with a small disclaimer that if I criticize Americans too much, this is because of our culture. I actually like them very much. I've noticed that I don't criticize some other nations so much, so that must mean something. So today we're talking about cultural differences and how to bridge them. The very first thing I would like to say is their calendar, which begins on Sunday, and that's why I almost thought that this event today is going to be on Saturday. So I nearly missed it, but I'm very happy to say that this is a thing we have easy solution for. So please, Americans, change your calendar so that it begins with Monday. So I would like to make a brief introduction about myself and how I got connected to America. Well, as I said, I studied piano. Now I'm already 33 years old. I think I look younger than that, so I can assure you that I didn't have a chance of getting any alcohol in the States without carrying an ID with me. But it all began in year 2000. I was actually skiing in South Estonia, and then one classmate called me and told me if I would like to go to the United States in a few weeks and perform there. And of course I was very shocked. But it turned out that she was supposed to accompany an Estonian girls choir there in a big tour, but she got pregnant. So I got the job. And I have to say it was a fascinating experience for me. The audience is simply great, and the happiest ever on the stage I have been is in the United States. This is because the audience is it catches fire so well and gives feedback, so you simply feel happy performing there. And then, of course, we were hosted by families, and then we already also got to know their food habits, which were very interesting. You can imagine, for example, if you have a long day behind you, and then you're extremely hungry, and the host family is kind enough to provide you a dinner. And this dinner consists of an extremely sweet apple pie, and that's it. This is very unusual for us, but this was something that they probably the best meal for us. Then I came back, and America seemed to follow me ever after. I studied in Germany, and I hosted there a few, there was an exchange groups of Americans who came there, and I hosted them, and I got to know them. These are those friends, and I developed a relationship with Ashley that were in the middle. So that led me to visit the United States a couple of times more, and then later applying for a Fulbright scholarship. And I was successful in it, and I was lucky enough to study 2 years in Carnegie Mellon University. about the Fulbright, I'm extremely thankful for it. And I'm happy to have been invited here today. This is another touch from America. And when I studied in Carnegie Mellon University, the very thing I noticed how much Americans like to talk and write. I don't like to write so much, but I had to do it again, so this is all my preparation. So when I sat home and did my writing, then I realized that I'm with America again. When I would like to show you another photo. This is the building from inside. So if I got this invitation, I first thought, is bridging cultures really needed? Because my first impression was that they just work out of the box. I went there and there were no real troubles. I mean, nothing that one cannot get accustomed to or react at the place. But after having a deeper thought about it, I realized that there are some significant differences. So that's why I thought that it's worthwhile coming here and talk about them a little bit. So these are those topics I would like to cover all at once, which I found to be the most important ones. And I would like to begin with the first one. I had real trouble finding a name for it, so I kind of call it emotional distance. But what I basically mean is that when there are two people and having a chat, then they position themselves somehow. But there's another, it's like a metaphysical space where you can position yourself too. For example, if those two people are talking, they might emotionally feel like that. But the thing is that I felt it always that Americans are the opposite. They put themselves very far from you. It's almost like they talk to you on the phone. And this has, of course, some negative implications. For example, one might think that they don't care about you so much, but we have to think ourselves, how much do we care about strangers ourselves? But I found this wonderful positive thing about it is that they are extremely easy to make new connections with you as a stranger. So they're very good at networking. It's almost like if you're on Facebook, or one tends to make friends on Facebook a lot faster and easier than just being in a pub. I mean, who would go to the pub, talk to somebody 2 minutes, and then call him a friend. So, and that's what we as students should learn a bit, I think, because see, we tend to think that it's better to do nothing than something which is not perfect, but sitting at home is not good either. So you feel very social. For example, we needed to find a furniture for a new home. At that time I wasn't together with Ashley anymore, so it was me and two guys renting an apartment. And we went to IKEA and rented a truck for it, and then comes this father, waits at us and tells, I will pay you $100, can you bring our stuff back home too? So it basically paid for our truck, but he got his stuff delivered and so forth. The Estonians, I don't think they would do that, at least not so easily. Well, I have found myself thinking about those things though when people are far away from each other. How can they have relationships? I mean, poor women. I mean, if you are together with a guy and he's so distant from you, it seems like almost that you get abused, or I don't think that this works very well. I mean, when I went to a local disco, I was totally shocked what I saw there. basically it was women like putting themselves so low and like so extremely, their body language was taking me right now. And I was completely shocked at why would it be like that. And then another friend told me, but you haven't seen a disco in New York. Now, yes. Another big topic is religion. This is a Bethany Baptist church, and I actually worked there a few months because a friend of mine could do that, so I replaced him. And normally it was me who sat on the piano, but I am a complete atheist. I don't believe in God whatsoever, but Americans usually aren't. And one might think that where is the big problem? It's everybody's private thing, but Estonia, I guess, is one of the most atheist countries, or close to that. Americans are very religious. So, and having to work there in church with all those wonderful people I got along with very well, there was just simply a huge conflict in me. And because I didn't believe what they believed, but the effects of what they believed were so wonderful. First of all, they were like a big family, and the musical performances I experienced there was one of the best. For example, this lady is an amateur singer from the church choir. Her name is Nancy, and she gave the best performance of my life. I've never heard anything close to that in any professional performance. She doesn't sing for the audience, she sings for the God, but what comes out is so deeply moving but she didn't have also any technical problems from the singer's point of view. And if I would have the opportunity, I would simply go there and listen to her once more. And what is the curious thing about she wasn't the only one. I thought she must be an example, but then another week, another lady stands up and does the same thing. So I'm really kind of like jealous of those people for what they have, but for something that I couldn't believe what they believe. I want to simply talk about religion a little bit more. So how do I cope with it? So the question in my head was Jesus versus Santa Claus, and where is the difference? And an atheist would say there is no difference. But I kept thinking, and I thought really hard, hopeless, but I kept trying. That I found one difference, and that is that we humans, as well in Discovery Channel, we have an area in the brain which is devoted to religion. So we are built for that, at least we can say. Yes, food is a serious problem. I have to first say that if one talks about nation, then we have to talk about average. It's a big country, and for example, if there is a cold water and warm water, you would certainly find a molecule in the cold water which is faster than some other molecule in the warm water, but the average is slower than the cold water. So on average, food is really bad. And that being said, two best meals I ever had was in the United States also. Yeah, but so what is the problem there? Yeah, obviously it's the junk food and a lot of artificial stuff. I had a friend, I offered a juice, and she refused. That had too much carbohydrates in it. At the same time, she kept eating pizza, for example. So, and then one other friend was there and had potato chips for lunch. So that leaves one speechless. But I tried to educate them or gave my view, but it was quite impossible because they just didn't believe me. And where the contradiction lies is that they think when they are fat that they have eaten too much, obviously, too many calories. But actually, it's the opposite. They are starving. They eat this food which has very little nutrition, and basically they feel full. They feel like full, but they are starving at a cellular level, and that's why they need another meal sooner than somebody else. But there are exceptions, and Ashley ate well. And I have to say that her mother did a good job. But that was another very cute cultural thing I want to say. Her mother did so much workout that she was almost like a professional athlete. And of course, I had luck to go out and have a workout session with them. And I felt so weak compared to her. But she thought I did very well, and she said, "Oh, Margus did very well. Actually, you can keep him." I was extremely insulted for that. I mean, how can riding a bike worry? But she actually wanted to compliment me. So that's a cultural thing, I guess. However, the next day, I showed up a very courageous move, and they respected that they didn't want to stop me. Namely, we went next to a river, and I was the first one to jump in, but then I soon realized that I was the only one in the water, and the others didn't follow me. So I asked them, "Where's the problem?" They said, "You go on swim, but we're afraid of those snakes." So, if you stand in a bus station, that's something you might see as an matter of fact indeed. So this public safety issue is an issue, I would say. One needs to know that. I think it's partly because of the very high hospital bills and all those kinds of stuff. But I will ask how much time we have. That maybe 5 minutes or so. Maybe I will skip that, because that maybe has less to do with culture. Yeah, but this thing with science is very interesting. I walked on the street, and there was this big construction site going on, and trucks going back and forth, and then there was this small label saying danger construction area, and I thought to myself, how on earth would somebody go and oversee the construction site and then see the sign that there is this construction site, be careful. But it comes out that these signs are extremely important, because when there is no sign, there is no danger. It comes out that way, because when one Swiss friend of mine hosted a group of Americans who visited Swiss Alps, then the Americans went so dangerously close to the cliff that they were about to fall, and the Swiss guy freaked out. That, "What are you doing? Are you freezing?" They said, "No, there is no danger. There is no sign. Please be careful. You might fall." That's a real story, though. So, yes, very interesting topic. This is also one thing one needs to get accustomed to, that people come to you and obviously they are not smiling, but they make it. They are, and not to this girl is sweet ever after, but if an adult does it to you, then you might think that, I don't know how to take it. Should I be insulted because does this person think that I'm really smiling, or it's just like a theater and I have to play along? And some might call it politeness, but I don't know how to take that. But it's something very deeply in their culture. Yes. So. Now I would like to connect a few things. We know that Americans like everything big. Their cars are big, their foods are big, it seems like they prefer quantity over quality. And it's funny that it was almost built in the education system as well. This is the CMU library, it's called Hunt Library, because the person who financed it. And this is a nice picture, and the slides are not fun just because of the photo, but actually 4 a.m. people, it was like a daytime. People were like drinking coffee and studying, because everybody got more homework than it was actually possible to do. Even when you take night into account. And so one had to make compromise. It's impossible to make all the homework, so I have to make some compromises. How do I cut here? How do I cut there? Everything is kind of done. So this is very funny, and I thought, why would they put so much pressure on it? But maybe something that's one learns for life. But it's a lot of nerve cells going to waste there. And then also, why want to make everything in 4 years during the university? I mean, what about the previous education? And it seemed that the secondary education is not that good there. I worked out. I was not in the Hunt library. I was behind the piano. It's also nighttime practicing. But 2 hours a day I worked in this office. This is called Student Services, and I admire this lady a lot, even though she made me work very hard again. But you know, she would be also like an example for an American, which I really admire and they can learn from. Yes. So I couldn't cover everything, but that's okay. If we have questions or
Thank you very much, Margus, for this really inspiring trip throughout the United States, your feelings, going from religion to film and so on.